Today, I am by myself with some moral support, as you heard earlier. So, today I'll be talking about falling asleep and waking up, as it's coming up on the holiday season, and I believe that's very important during this time of year especially. So, if you're interested and you like it, remember to like and subscribe. First part is going to be falling asleep fast. The first step of this is to find a comfortable position. Pretty obvious, self-explanatory. Most people can't fall asleep if they're uncomfortable. So after you've found said comfortable position, so you want to start with step 2, which is the relaxing part. For this, there's a little bit of a trick. You have to relax in sequence, slowly. You want to sort of like spend a few seconds relaxing from the tips of your toes, if you have to do individually, and your fingers, your hands, arms, legs, neck, head, all that fun stuff, all those places. And as you're relaxing, you're also completing step 3, which is the deep breathing. While you're doing all this, you have to be breathing slow and steady. You might want to deep breathe at least 3 times on each step, and you can get to a comfortable breathing pattern as you progress. Now, once you've gotten all that stuff down and you're good to get to sleep, you can think in your head and find a happy place, a nice relaxing place, just to be good to go. Now that is pretty much all the tips I really have, except for if you want to wake up early in the morning. There is a little bit of a trick as you're doing this while you're falling asleep that you can do to get up pretty much when you want to, and that's the fun part. See, as you start all these steps, the deep breathing, the relaxing, the comfortable position, you think in your head loudly, if not loudly, softly. You may want to start with whispering, but that's not really it engages your ears, and you don't really want that while you're falling asleep. So you have to think to yourself, I have to wake up at whatever time with your alarms. You can use, I have to wake up with my alarms. You can use, I have to wake up at, say, 7 o'clock, 6:30, 5:30. Depending on the amount of times and how forceful you are with your thinking, you'll surprise yourself, even if you don't remain awake afterwards. So anyway, on that note, we will be moving on to waking up early. A lot of which is going to be self-explanatory. So step 1 is always going to be your alarms. Whatever it is that you use, whether it's your phone or an alarm clock, I personally prefer my phone for waking me up, because you can set as many alarms at whatever time that you want. So the pattern that generally works the best is if you set up at least, and this is going to sound a little bit weird, but at least 3 alarms every 5 minutes. And the reason that you want to set your alarms for at least 3 for 5 minutes is because the average sleep cycle is about 5 to 7 minutes long. It takes about 5 minutes to get into deep REM. So you want to interrupt your body before it gets into that deep sleep cycle, because after that it's even harder to wake up, and you basically have to start the whole process all over again. As long as the times in between the alarms are offset, like 1 minute, 2 minutes, then 3 minutes, then 2 minutes, you should be okay. So personally, I use up to 7 alarms for the 10 minutes after I'm supposed to be waking up. just to make sure I get up on time. And the second step is willpower. Yeah, that's the tough part for most people, unfortunately. Almost nothing will work if you do not want it to. So you have to actually want to wake up, or at least convince yourself that you want to wake up in the morning. This usually involves the fourth step I mentioned before, where you're thinking about what time you want to wake up as you're falling asleep. So you have to accept a time and the need to wake up at that time before you go to sleep, and when you wake up and look at your clock, which should be in easy sight lines to when you wake up in your wake up position. So that's pretty much all the tips. However, there is one thing I want to mention before I go, and that is your body and you will adapt to almost any alarm pattern and any technique you use to wake up. So you have sometimes you will find yourself oversleeping even those crazy 7 to 5 to 7 alarms. Then you will probably have to either add a few, change the times in between the alarms. You have to change things up to keep your body on its toes, because your body will adapt. To get used to the alarms, it depends on how often and how much you keep up with it. So if it's like daily thing, even on weekends, it can be maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks. If you're breaking the pattern on weekends, then it can extend it quite a bit, upwards to a month, maybe a month and a half. So, I started when I was 21, 24. Anyway, so hopefully this works out for you. Please remember to like and subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye!